I'm going to flip this on here.
5:30.
Yeah.
It was last year.
All right, ladies. So welcome. We've got some new people here today. We're trying something also new with a webcam. So we have some people. We have two people here.
Okay.
Marlena and Heidi, who were both here last month, and both live in Lexington or close to Lexington. So yeah. So we'll figure out things like camera angles and microphone positions and things like that. But this is a club Eric and I started like 3 years ago. We just wanted, usually you have a big company and then there's only a small number of people who do e-learning in it. And I thought it'd be nice to be able to get all those people in a room together to just kind of share common struggles, successes, share tips and tricks with one another because everything's always changing in our industry. So that's kind of how this club began. So we always like to just kind of give everybody a chance to talk and introduce yourself, share either something you learned, something you accomplished, something you're struggling with. We'll just stop and give you our 2 cents on how things work, and we'll just kind of go around the room. Small group today, so that'll be good. Eric, you want to start us off?
Sure. I'm Eric from Clearly Trained, and we got exciting news today. We're making a new course on flavored bacon. Apparently, you can dip bacon in other flavors to, it's not like grape flavored or anything weird like that, but it's other spices and coatings. So I've yet to learn the full process, and we're getting into a video shoot for a client, food service client, and now they're flavoring their bacon. And so
That's the best news I've gotten all week.
Right.
There is more variety of flavored bacon.
there was a bulleted list that said bacon is delicious. Like they said. There's a whole bulleted list on what bacon is. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little small pleasures in life. But
Imagine you get 10 different flavors and do those bacon leaves.
I know. The possibilities are.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Do you know any of the flavors of bacon?
It says spice pack in like a really generic font, so I don't know what the spices are just yet, but I don't know why you'd want more spice on it, but whatever, we'll see. I'm not getting any samples, so.
That's a shame.
One site that I was telling you about I wanted to bring up, it's called Training Locker, if you can type that in. This was an interesting company that I happened across yesterday. This isn't their actual company. This is a product. They're launching a new version of it today. It allows you to host your own sites on your own server or on their service, depending on how you buy it. You can then deploy it and integrate it into your own website, into WordPress sites. You can sell them. So I thought what was interesting is they help you, say you want to log into your own website and literally have eLearning baked right into that website, and just be part of a seamless experience, as opposed to a lot of people, again, purchase an LMS and it's kind of a horror story or dark place and mysterious links that they get lost, but everyone knows their website and they can kind of just get around there with no problem. And this guy hooks up all the training, makes it work with any LMS, any website, and so they've got this product that you can host and track, even if it's on his service and it's through another learning management system. It'll both track all your progress through that learning management system and on the one system. So you could deploy one course to 15 different clients or people.
Loud noise. Yes.
Breaking, entering. But you can track, say you're selling a course or you're deploying it to multiple departments. You can see how many uses and what, the sort of return on investment that people are getting all from this one spot. So it's just a little license deal. And they're really great on the
Hi, welcome. Come on in.
coding and programming end, and so they helped out with a lot of obscure issues that we had. So just nothing you'd necessarily need off the bat, but an interesting service.
You get the lucky seat.
Hello. A lot of new people here.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. We are trying our very first webinar today, so don't be intimidated. I'm going to put you on camera here in just a minute. We're not like beaming out your reactions and everything. Once I start the demos to this, the people in the webinar will see that. But we have 2 people joining us from Lexington and a lot of new faces here. So we start our meetings off, just give everybody a chance to kind of introduce themselves, where they work, what they do, and then share either something you're struggling with at work. We're all mostly e-learning developers, so we can share tips on that, share resources to cool things. Eric was just showing us something here called Training Locker, which is pretty cool. And yeah, welcome. Ethan?
My name is Ethan Estes. I'm an e-learning contractor. I don't really have anything super cool or whatnot to share, but just dovetailing on what Eric was saying, something that's very similar to that you could compare the pricing and whatnot is Storm Cloud. They do the same thing in that they integrate.
They said they were rivals and enemies of each other.
Are they? Yeah.
They're talking to. Yeah, it's very. It was similar.
They're very well. Scorm, yeah, it's scorm.com. I think it's cloud.
Oh, yeah.
But they have a solution that those things can plug in, so you can hook it up to WordPress, and it'll just run. And they're really quite good too. But the pricing can be kind of pricey, so maybe the other place is better priced. But it can really solve. Again, the benefit is you're in control of your own content. So if the clients don't pay up, you can turn it off.
He had a dramatic backstory that the owners of both companies were friends, and then they went separate ways.
Oh, really?
And so he actually.
Who's the owner of the?
It's like JCA Solutions or something. George something or other.
Okay, JCA
down in Florida.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just funny.
It's not Tim, because I'm pretty sure Tim's still with Scorn. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Gotcha.
Just a side.
I see. So now we've got the Red Sox and the Yankees.
E-learning.
Yeah.
But I find that
world.
really useful. And the other thing that they're really good for is that they have a free account that you can get, which I'm just going to share this. It's nothing new. But if you just need to test your stuff against SCORM compliance or XAAPI compliance, they have a free account. You can log in, and they've got some really nice tools so you can quickly replace the course files. So if you find a problem, just fix it up, and they give you a way to upload it, and it doesn't count against your registration count. It's very useful stuff. Yeah.
No.
And they also do the CMI5 packaging too. So if you've got any.
So if you're new to e-learning, SCORM's just the standard. All the systems use this for tracking it. If I have clients that say, oh, it's not working, there's some problem with the files, SCORM Cloud's always my first step to go and see, does it validate, does it match the standard? It's the easiest step in the troubleshooting. So yeah, it's a good one. All right.
I'm Amy Vallon. I work for Restaurant Supply Chain Solutions, which is a small organization here in town. We are the purchasing co-op for Young Brands, so we're a wholly owned subsidiary. I'm not an e-learning developer. I'm an org development and training manager there. And previous to this job, I was at Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. And so I'm living the world of no LMS now, which is kind of footloose and fancy free.
Great class to come to.
Yeah, but also, like at Farm Bureau, when they had the LMS, it was that deep dark hole, of like all this stuff. So trying to figure out that balance of, we want to go back into that world of an LMS. We don't have we certainly have a need for it in terms of training and things like that, but that's why I was drawn to this today, to see what kind of tips and tricks you might have. To kind of help with that. Our main thing right now is kind of just tracking stuff that people do. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Amy.
I'm Roxy Gribbins. I work at GE. I've been there for almost 21 years, and I'm trying to learn everything I can about e-learning and technical training and all the avenues and that whole LMS thing, since we're actually going to start one in August, so that should be fun. See how it goes.
Oh, thanks.
I'm Christina Bell. Oh, Chango. Actually, I just got married. That's so a weird thing for me to do. I just my debit card
It's
is
not
like,
like this is getting recorded or anything.
which card? Oh, which name? Wait, I'm not. I don't have like 15 identities. I just got married. I actually just moved to Louisville. My husband took a job up here, so we just moved up here from Atlanta. And I'm looking to get involved in learning and development. I'm actually going for my second interview for a position with HR that in my first interview, the woman basically said she would hand all the training and everything over to me, and they're a smaller company. So I think learning some of these, sort of cheaper ways to implement a system like that would be super helpful for me. So I feel confident about the second interview. So I already have the mindset.
Right.
I'm going to be plugging this stuff in. So and I really know nothing about either. So just here to learn about learning.
Nice. How long have you been in Louisville?
4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
And just off my crutches, I
Welcome.
broke my foot.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we moved in
You've been busy.
on Saturday, and I broke my foot Monday morning. So I'm
Oh, nice.
excited. I have 2 tennis shoes on.
Wow.
So,
Gosh, welcome.
I'm Emily Beckett, and I'm a production trainer at Cafe Press. I work at a Riverport location, which is our plant, and do a lot of hands-on training. Basically, stand side by side with the production associates, learn what they're doing, document it, take pictures, write work instructions, all that good stuff. But I am now getting included in some other things having to do with corporate, which our offices are in Middletown. And my boss said, we should look a little bit more into this LMS and eLearning, which personally I don't know that much about. So that's the reason why I'm here.
Great.
I'm Peggy Hodge. I've been with Cafe Press for 4 years. I'm the customer service trainer as well as the corporate onboarding trainer. And of course, we don't have an LMS. Everything that I do to track customer service has been completely made through Excel programs and everything. So anything that would be helpful would be awesome.
Okay, I'm Kelly Shario. I'm with Argenum IT. And we are just getting started with all of this. We have an LMS right now, but kind of looking at a different LMS that would more suitably fit our needs. We're looking at Moodle's business partner of Totra. But maybe you can do it without an LMS, I don't know, so. And he's my boss.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Dean Wallace. I work for Argenum IT. Basically, we're an IT consulting company. But we also do training. So we're looking. I've got text, I got to train, everything else. So I'm always looking for different ways to get people up to speed as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And, as cheaply as possible.
Just based on what I was hearing here, not to undermine this class, 'cause I really like this, but I have utilized Moodle for several years, and you guys should all check it out before you pay some. If you decide to go the LMS route, look into Moodle before you pay anybody any amount of money. Okay, because it's free, it's open source.
It's really
you
easy
can
to-
download it and deploy it yourself. So just saying before you call Skillsoft.
No, I'm not a big proponent of. I am looking for content. She's a content developer as well. She didn't necessarily say that, but that's one of the reasons that it's. And there may be, depending on what it is, we are looking for different, content. It just comes down to what are our options.
Yes.
Right.
And we look. Well, I started looking at Moodle, but she pulled me back from it. So
yeah.
But not to
Well,
say.
Totra is just the business side of it, so
It's,
it's designed more for business, so.
I think it's based on Moodle from the open source side.
Yeah, the open source side of Moodle is definitely leans towards academic, University of Michigan. That's where it started and whatnot. And there are overlays, a couple of different companies, and tweaked it to make it a little bit more business oriented, less self-registration, more top-down structure.
Right.
Can you spell that?
Moodle, Moodle.
Okay, I didn't know.
Like noodle with an L.
Yeah, it's like Moodle with an M.
So here's Moodle. I'm a big fan of Moodle. I kind of started my career in e-learning when I was introduced to this and ran a free one. This is like in '99 or 2000 or something. But yeah, it's a really cool What I like about Moodle versus most LMSs is that since it's open source, a lot of the people that are interested in it are educators. So they design these little things called blocks, which are around different activities and things people can do, versus most of the corporate ones, they're made by engineers and savvy businessmen. So it's very much just a funnel through, it's just a line through content, not a chance to really converse. And, you know, there's a lot of learning that takes place in Moodle, more so than just tracking, which tends to be the big thing of
It gives you
LMS.
that ability to build curriculums, and you can have forums and chats, and I mean, you can deploy that kind of stuff.
Exercises and
All
quizzes
open
and
source,
things
the
like that.
blocks are like plugins.
Yeah.
And sometimes those cost money. I mean, it just depends on the developer, but you can, you know, it works on that idea of a curriculum week to week almost, you know, like, you know, 12-week course kind of thing, but you can tweak it. It has its idiosyncrasies though. It's not a big deal. Worth always checking.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not sure the best way to do this. I'm trying to include Marlena and Heidi, but they don't have microphones, just me. So they're going to maybe chat in their introductions here. I'll give them a minute to do that. So really what I'm going to talk about, and this is a conversation. So if you have questions and things that you want to talk about, by all means, just start asking me. But really what I wanted to do was just kind of talk about what are the things that we can do with an LMS and why do we end up with one, and why do we end up with one? What features is it that we're looking for? And then how can we get some of that for free? How can we do that using a different set of tools? So I wanted to start off just by asking you, and I'm going to try and move my camera around and make you all turn your necks at an inconvenient angle. And I'm going to write down what we like about learning management systems and what we expect from them. So just start thinking about, like, what is it that you need an LMS for? What do they do?
We keep track of stuff.
Tracking.
User profiles, curriculum structures, roles.
Oh, Ethan, you're too fast. When you say user roles,
Well, I said user profiles, curriculums, and then like user roles as well, like role defined curriculums. So when you move
so if
into
you're a
a role,
customer
you
service
get
rep, you're automatically put in customer service rep.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. What else?
In theory, they are, you know, just-in-time learning in the sense that you have it at your fingertips. In theory.
That's an excellent one.
yeah.
And I'm really glad you said in theory, because a lot of times.
Is this what we want out of it, or what they actually are?
This is the sales pitch. The sales guys come in. This is what you hear.
We currently have Linda.com,
Yeah.
and which is vast, and there's, you know, there is great stuff in there, but it's just so much that the whole concept of just-in-time or micro-learning, and people are like, how can I devote 5 minutes to learning something when there's like thousands of courses? Like, they don't even know where to begin.
Right.
So,
Curating.
yeah, curating,
Need
that's what
training
I'm
on how to use
doing a
training,
bit
yeah.
of, so.
Eric and I complain often about how these LMS systems, it's like, great, you want a 3-minute course, but it takes you 7 different clicks to go to search it, to find it. And then you got to request it, and then you got to sign in, and some of those things. Learning management systems were sort of the first wave of online learning, and they haven't really gotten a very significant update, whereas the rest of the internet has. You can learn how to fix your sub comp on YouTube in 2 clicks, and it's very easy, and it's shocking how much is out there. True story, I fixed the sub comp using YouTube videos. And it's a great model. And the LMS, I would have had to search and then look in the curriculum and then expand it and go. So a lot of these features that are built into an LMS are really just kind of.
Yeah, they're from I think they started with an analytics engineering viewpoint, and it is not, those are generally not the people you want doing user interface, quality of experience type things. And I think more and more these days you'll find non-LMS seeming systems that are just meant to be accessible and usable and fun. And that's always the shame of not having the time to do an assessment up front and really look at all the stuff that's out there, because a lot of it's not even called a learning management system, but it does everything that you actually need it to do, I think, which is, in a lot of cases, people rarely track more than completion.
Right.
And that's it. And it's like,
And that's only if the auditors are coming
You
next
could write a
week.
SQL Server connection for $200 on the, some freelance developer site that does the same thing. Why are you spending $80,000? So.
And one of the,
Any other,
yeah, I mean, some of the LMSs, I mean, they're a total learning, I mean, their point is they're a total learning system. So I know I've run into corporate LMSs that actually will manage their physical classroom schedules,
Yeah.
set up the calendar, arrange, ties into, there was one that actually tied into making sure, like, when they assign the users, if the users were flying in, it would help, it would then ping the department to buy tickets for those people, if it was all centralized.
Right.
So, I mean, it can, depending on how much they invest, it can tie into all of that.
right?
You know?
Email notifications.
Yeah.
Hey, your safety training's still due. You
Yeah.
still have to take it.
And that, I think ultimately that was what, again, coming from the insurance industry, what the LMS was great for was compliance.
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah,
were
compliance,
required,
right.
I mean, you had to have certain things.
Audit trail, that's a lot of the stuff I've worked on over the years, and then compliance, and I don't know how many times, the customer calls, yeah, we got an audit, and we forgot to train our entire workforce, and they're here in a month. Okay, here we go, and it's a check the box thing. And I
Cover
think
your
one of the
assets.
things they fail at, LMSs, and it ties to what you guys were saying, is they have not figured out how to surface the information in a much more efficient manner, which is a big limitation for them as if we as an industry move to micro training. It's impossible. I mean, because as great as Moodle is, the thing that drives me up the wall is you got 4 clicks, minimum 4 clicks to launch a course, and that's silly. It should just be there. Even with single sign-on, you can
Right.
tie it in. So it's free, but
All right. So I'm going to go and do a demo. Spoiler alert. Free versions can't do all this. There's some things that we can do. There's a reason why we have LMS systems. There is a new sort of wave. So that right now the SCORM standard is sort of the biggest one. AICC was the other standard for tracking. And there's a new standard called Tin Can or XAPI. Those are both sort of the same thing. And what those do is they open it up to a wider range of possibilities. So it's not just, hey, did he finish the course or did he show up to the instructor-led training? It can be like, hey, did this person visit the internal wiki? Did this person post to the forum? Did they open this PDF? So it's a very flexible thing that it basically gives you a really big range of things that you can do. One of my gripes with the LMS is that, so one of my clients is Samtech over in New Albany. They have 4,000 people that work for them. The LMS is designed so that only one person can add any content to the LMS. That's
they
a
got Cornerstone
horrible.
by any chance?
How did you know?
Because I've run into that. I've given the admin rights for vendor clients to upload course and test stuff. And I think it's insane.
Yeah. Is there only one person in the whole organization that has any content to share with other people? That's a horrible way to structure these things. And I get it. Only one person should be able to upload the safety course, so then it's there and there's an audit trail to go back to it. But the culture of learning shouldn't be that one person knows it and everybody else is just an empty-headed person that I have to pour this training into. Let's all share what we know. I'm facilitating right now. I'm learning from you guys, except Eric. I'm just kidding. All right. So I'm going to introduce Heidi. Heidi, should I do your voice or should I just read it in my voice? I'll just do my voice. So Heidi works for Bluegrass Cellular in E-Town, and she's our presenter next month. So this is kind of a 2-part presentation. She has an LMS she's really excited about. They're rolling it out. It is called Bridge, and she's going to she says it's a different kind of LMS, and I don't like to call it an LMS. And it has a course builder within it, which might be cool for people that are looking for rapid e-learning tools. And then Marlena, hi y'all. I'm Marlena. You believe me? Instructional developer for Kerbel Plastics. She designs e-learning courses and loves her job. That's like, Marlena, I looked at your LinkedIn profile the other day, and I love that was like, I love instructional design, because I'm that type of person too. She wants a good learning theory book or instructional design book to read. Does anyone have any suggestions for her?
Heidi probably does.
Heidi has 1,000 suggestions for her, I'm sure. They can, so my favorite learning book is called Design for How People Learn. It's by someone named Julie Dirksen. And Heidi knows because she got a signed copy of it for the author and gave it to me. So she knows all about that. But it's a wonderful book because it looks at the motivational side of learning and keeping people interested. It's not just like making it accurate. It's making it memorable and making it stick to change their behavior. There's a Michael Allen. He's got a whole library of things that I like. Yeah. All right.
Who's that by again?
Let me pull him up here. Julie Dirksen. So this book just came out in a 2nd edition. And yeah, here it is. This book's really good too, How We Learn. I actually took Eric's copy of that and read half of it and stopped, but I really liked the first half. But yeah, this is my favorite one. This one's also pretty interesting. Yeah. Any other sharing? Okay. If something comes to you, let me know. We'll type it in the chat here. So like I was saying, let me go ahead and turn off this camera that's pointing at me because it makes me self-conscious. Okay, so I actually came up with the idea for this because I started with a small company, about 50 people, and they said, we don't have an LMS, we want to start doing e-learning. I said, great, how are you going to track it? I don't know. So I said, okay, I have some ideas, we can make it. So at the end of your course, you can have a button that just says like, email Jenny, and tell her that. That's nice. That's the easiest thing to do. The problem is you could email Jenny whether you took the course or not. So I'm looking for something that's a little more rigorous than that. So the solution that I recommend to people, and the tool that I have pulled up right here, is Articulate Storyline. And one of the features that it does is it will actually let you put in, they call it a web object, but it basically lets you put any live web page within that. So if you wanted to put CNN.com or you want to put the company homepage, you can do that. From a tracking standpoint, you could use SurveyMonkey. Just make a survey that says, what's your name, what's your email, who's your manager, and then you just put that on the very last slide of your e-learning course. This is my whole presentation. I'm just going to keep repeating it. But so you put in a web object and you just add in a link, and then you have a live web page that's in there. So that is the easiest way to track your training if you don't have an LMS. I'll show you a version of this that I have set up. This was that same course. We'll let it load here.
Can I ask you a question, Eric?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm Carl, but that's fine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um,
True story. I have a 2-year-old who looked at a picture of me when I had hair like that and said, that's Daddy's friend Eric. I was like, no, my kids can't confuse us too. It happens literally everyone. So.
I think I originally met you guys on the same day too. With the web objects.
Yeah.
Do you know when they output? Are they putting them in an iframe? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no way to actually pass information from the storyline code into the content of an iframe, right? Through coded. Like, and could you?
He might be able to handle that, as far as I'm
use
concerned.
monkey bridge technique.
You can do basics. You can generally send and receive variables. What you can do with those variables and what types of variables are very restricted in Storyline. If it's a number or a letter, that's great. If you wanted to like do a calculation and then merge it with this thing and do this other, it just starts to fall apart. But it'll handle some decent JavaScript. We've done some very complex things using nothing but web objects.
Okay.
That are published through Storyline and become SCORM compliant and all this stuff. You can pull in the weather. You can play radio stations through it. You can put all these different weird things in there. That's some pretty hefty JavaScript stuff that you can, it's not even in the web object window in a lot of cases. It's in the actual custom JavaScript area.
I'm going to let you two get into that.
Yeah.
I think
All right, well,
that's
we'll let
probably,
you.
yeah. That's,
Sorry.
no, that's fine. Keep the questions coming. So this is the example. It's pet insurance, and we had a small budget on this one, and they wanted to talk about your experiences with other sales interactions, customer service experience. What is that like? Because this is their new core value. I named this dog Howie Wow, and he was our little narrator throughout. But one of the first things we did is I wanted to just pose the question to them. I don't think e-learning has to just be, I know everything, you don't know anything. So I put in a form, and it looks like this. And I said, think of a time that you were wowed. And where were you, and how did they help? So you can type in something. I got my Best Buy order 3 days early. I was excited. So then when you submit that, then you can actually go through and see what everyone else had put in that. So we have a whole bunch of different options that were here. We've been testing this. So like I was saying before, does content have to come from just one person? No, of course not. You can put together a form if you use a Google form, and that's what I'm going to be showing mostly tonight. How do you work with Google Forms? What are your options for working that? But you can have just a text entry box and then say, share comments or share the other responses, and you can go through and read all that. I haven't talked to this client. I don't know if people are going in and reading one another's content, but like, activate prior knowledge, like make it personal. Think, okay, I'm not just a customer service rep for this company. I'm also a consumer. I go out and people treat me well or they treat me bad. And I have feelings on that as well, because empathy was one of our goals here, like be sympathetic to the people that are calling in. So let me show you questions on anything so far. I'm going to go in and start showing you the tool and show you how I did all this. So Google Forms is part of Google Drive. Google Drive, if you haven't worked with it. So Google Drive is both like a cloud storage where you can have it sync your files, but it's also somewhere where you can go in and you can say, I want to make Google's version of a Word document or Google's version of a PowerPoint. If you go here under More, they have these wonderful Google Forms. So I'll click on Forms, and you can go through and you can just, so each of these forms has an administrator that can go through and edit it, and then it gives you a link that you can go and share with anybody. So we can go in and see, we are making a form. So I would go in, it's really slick. It's all in the browser. You don't have to be particularly savvy at using this. You can go through, there's lots of different options that you can use with your form. So if you wanted to say something like, hey, fill out this document and attach it, and you could put that in your course, that you could actually have somebody fill out. I don't know that this is a good choice, but from a technical standpoint, you could have someone fill out pen and paper on something, scan it, upload it into this document, and have it.
We built our whole, we talked to you about it, our whole time tracking system for our company.
Okay.
We built it in a day using Google Forms, and I've been using it for 2 years for free. And it's awesome. It's just, it's absolutely wonderful. And it's just like anyone could have made it, as opposed to paying, $40 a month for some other solution. So really flexible.
So once you create it, it is then, what's the mechanism? How do you access it? Via a link? Would editing something that you're saying?
Excellent question. So I did a real simple one here that says first name and last name, to make sure that my webinar pals have not been abandoned. So if I go up here, if I hit preview, then it will, how would I do it now? You'd think I would know since I'm doing a presentation on it. Basically, you have, the admin is going to log in and be able to see it, and then there's settings you can pick so that it's a link that you could email out. It's a link that you could just stick at the very, like I was saying, I think you have your quiz or something at the end. Maybe you just have slides that they go through and you want to track that they got to the end. Use the web object to just put that link in there.
So
Like that, or maybe stick them.
So we're not even at that level of any kind of storyline or anything like that. So it could be an email, could be embedded into.
And it looks like it has quizzes too.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show you. That's what actually got me really excited, because you can go through and this whole thing can grade itself and score itself. And then you can have another thing that tracks it. I'll show you some examples I built with that.
There are teachers in schools that use only Google Docs
Oh, yeah.
and do everything online.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. It's a very cool system here. So I wanted to just give you a little feel for how easy it is to work with this stuff. Google Forms are really simple. They're very nice. Let me go back in here. So this, think of a time you were wowed. We showed you this form before, and then it actually is linked with a spreadsheet, which is kind of what you were getting at, Amy. So I have a spreadsheet that's in here, and it tells me everybody's name and all of. So the way we built this, we didn't actually say, hey, what's your name? I'll show you some examples here of what you can do. But I imagine that you could have a course. I think e-learning is great as part of a bigger solution. It's not just something that sits off by itself. So it's like, hey, we're doing a course for managers on conflict resolution. So we have a scenario here that says, what would you do in this case? And they fill that out before they come to the class. Then the instructor just goes to this spreadsheet, prints it up, and then we've got a conversation like ready to start. I already know your name and how you would handle that. And now we can go into the course and we can kind of hit the ground running. And this is very easy. So you can use Google Forms for a completion. I hope that I've showed an example of how to do that. Seem like a sharp group, so it's not something I want to really spend a ton of time on, but I wanted to show you some of the other fun examples, like this one.
How do you actually, unless you covered it and I missed it, how do you physically connect the two together? Like tell this form to spit out into this document? Does it do that on its own?
Yeah, you can go in. So on its own, it will have responses that are here. Let me do a little preview of this quiz first. Okay. So this is one that I did when I went and I started a new Google form. I could have gone in here and said more Google Forms, and look at that, from a template. So they go through and they have a whole number of templates, order forms, job applications, time off requests, customer feedback, and one of those is quiz. And that's what I use to get this. So that's why it says use the quiz template. So I'll go through. Again, for tracking, you want to make sure that you have some way of doing it. You can put in videos. So if you're doing new hire training, I found a Star Wars new employee orientation that I thought would be good.
So this could really be.
It could be a whole course if you wanted.
If you wanted to do micro training, especially if you've got videos that you're uploading to a channel, or maybe a private Vimeo if employers get involved, you could do micro training with this. Just sidestep the LMS, and then probably do a subroutine if you needed to get the stuff out of the spreadsheet into some sort of database.
Yeah, because if you have 50 courses, then do you need to watch 50 spreadsheets to know who's doing what? So there's, again, like the learning management systems have value. I'm not saying that, oh, just go with this. It's got everything. But it's free. And it's, in a lot of ways, it's easier. And
you could use this as a post after the course. Because like the biggest problem we run into is like, there's useful information inside the courses, but again, it's hard to surface it without going back all the way into courses. So you can pull out the most important pieces and load them up into something like this after the fact, kind of a thing.
Yep. Yeah. So you can do all your regular quiz options. You saw that. We had multiple choice. We have choose all that apply. We have short answer. There's some longer ones that you can explore. It lets you give feedback. Got it right, got it wrong. You can put in pictures. You can assign points to each question. You can put in videos. You can have links to things. You can even have it branching. So I have an example I'll show you in a minute where the first question is what language or what country are you in? and then it takes you to a section where all the questions are then in that language. You could do that, of course, with what's your job role, what's your location. I thought it'd be more cool to learn how to. So yeah, who's your manager? I thought of the worst managers that I could think of. Hopefully none of you work for any of these people. I know that's not true in your case. Michael Scott, humility. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, Gordon Gecko. This is the lady from, what's that? Devil Wears Prada. Yeah. I couldn't remember her name. I had to look it up, but she was a terrible boss. So this is the user side of things. You would go through, you would fill all these things out, and then you hit submit, and then it says, ooh, view your score. So, so then you go through and look at that. It's graded, and you get feedback. Looks like I did a bad job on my feedback. I was kind of learning as I did this anyway. And then you can put a link within that. So if you wanted to have another reference, since they did it, I did Cool in the Gang celebration. I wasn't counting on an ad. We'll just skip that. So it's a powerful tool, and it's a free tool, which is everyone's favorite price. There's a lot of different options that you can use. You can use it for tracking. You can use it for assessment. You can use it just for conversation starters within a course, before a course, as a follow-up, as a coaching kind of thing. If you put in something like this, who is your manager, then you'd be able to go through, and this obviously would have to be somebody's job, but if you're in an organization that's small enough, there's 6 managers, and somebody just goes through and sorts that, sends the answers. Hey, Johnny said this, Janie said that, and here's everybody's thing, so that when you have coaching sessions, when you work with people, you can capture what people put into that course and use them.
Well, you can export this to an Excel file.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
then you can,
So you could, yeah, if you wanted to send it out, then people could go through and just find their own direct reports and do that out of the list, depending on.
Done like anything where you've tied this with Google, like a Google presentation as the way of presenting the content and then tying this in as sort of a testing component?
I have not.
Okay.
I've thought about, I've done, yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah. Templates are really cool. I'm going to close a few of my windows here. You see I've got different responses. I'll show you sort of, so you can put in images, you can add in your titles, you can make different sections. Let me show you my other example first, actually. So this is our international completion form. I'll do the preview of it first. I think I described it well enough that you understood what I was saying, but I'll just show you. I'm clearly from Taiwan. And then it says, what's your name? And you type in Karl. And
So you've branched here.
Mhm.
Okay.
So when I go back to the live forum, you can see, okay, I can go in and I can actually add a section here. And then at the end of each section, you can say after section 1, what do we want to have people do? And then for each choice, what I did, there's an option here that says go to a section based on your answer. So if you say, where do you work? Oh, I work in manufacturing, I work in HR, I work in customer service. That's question 1. You put that in the first section, and then you can branch out and do that. So some of the things that we were talking about here, user profiles and curriculums and that, it's not a full-on curriculum, but you still can customize this for the different roles people play in your organization. The tracking, I didn't really show you, but because I have so many things to show you today. See if this is the one I want. Yeah. So let me show you one of these real fast. So when you choose that quiz option, you can see it pops up here and it has a little answer key. So once you find that, you can pull it in and you can say, what's your feedback if they get it right, if they get it wrong. And then you can put in links. It's pretty neat. Like this is just like what you would see if you spent $1,000 to get the Articulate software. So you can use the quiz maker. So you can put it in there. It's nice for people to get answers based on what they do.
It almost feels like the Articulate 360 thing watched last month,
Right.
except that you're not paying $1,000 to $200 for it. I mean, if
There are
you put
advantages
pictures
to
and
it, yeah.
text, I mean, the way you set it up, you could actually build a course just in the quiz section.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Of course, you're also relying on Google to maintain all of your content.
Yeah, and keep it private and safe. So I use something called Google Domains. So I have eLearningblends.com because that's my company. And then, so I have what looks like Gmail, but it's an eLearningblends.com address. And so I have all my Google Docs and everything's just kind of in that infosphere. If you're a part of that, then I think this is a good fit because you're going to have access to all that stuff anyway, because it's going to be in your drive and all that's going to be shared and stuck together. If you're not, I still think if you're just saying, hey, we have a tool we like, or we're going to use a tool to build these courses, I just need a way to track it. Just build a quick little quiz. It says first name, last name, maybe who's your manager, maybe where do you work. Just make those required, put them at the end of the module. Unlike the email Jenny example, you just get to submit that one time, so you can't just skip the course and get your completion. Because if your auditor says, oh, what, everybody just emails Jenny when they're done? Well, that's not going to stand up to the audit. And really, it's wonderful to have people be high performers and all that, but a lot of this is just, we just need the audit trail.
Do you know if there's anything similar like this within SharePoint or anything like that?
I don't.
Azure, Microsoft, I don't know.
Yeah.
There are workflows and
Maybe.
stuff in SharePoint,
Yeah,
but a lot of it requires developers to, it will do a lot of it, but I won't say, it's been a while since I've touched it, but there is a lot, some of that functionality. There used to be forms tools and everything else in it, but I can't remember if there's quizzes and
yeah.
that stuff in it. I mean, forms are easy, but the rest of it is.
The quizzes in particular, like that's the whole thing. You want, it's a learning exercise. Did you get it right? Did you learn it? Yes or no? Or, just share what you think, and we'll talk about it later. The client, I showed you that example for the pet insurance, they actually ended up using SurveyMonkey because they have all their employee satisfaction surveys and all that in SurveyMonkey. So they did, independent of the tool, if you just think, hey, I got to find some kind of web form where people fill it out, once you know about just putting a web object in. So they did the same thing. What's your first name? What's your last name? Was it too long, too short, just about right? Which department are you in? This made me happy. Everybody liked it. So yeah, and then they had some other comments just to get feedback on your courses. So the other thing that I wanted to show you, and I don't really want to get like here, I went in and showed you some of the settings panels and showed you a little bit of the navigation. I don't know how much of that will stick, but I've also become really fascinated with, not SurveyMonkey, MailChimp. So that is something like Constant Contact, or there's a number of these different email clients that are out there. Nobody's shooting me a dirty look. Everybody kind of hates email. The last thing you want, oh boy, I sure want more emails in my life. But think about it. You always have access to your email. If you have your phone, you can go and you can look it up. So I think the sort of seed for this thought was that MailChimp they have a free plan, and they've just upgraded some of the features in the free plan for what they call automations. And I wanted to just kind of show you the landing page of these automations. So instead of saying, I'm going to send one email, we're going to say, okay, we've got this new software that's rolling out. Maybe we maybe we make 12 little small videos that we put in there that show you how to do something. Let's just put each one of them in an email, and we'll just schedule it so a new one goes out every day of the week so people can get used to it. Hey, that's exactly what it is. It's just an email campaign. So you can go in and say, hey, today's tip is, here's how you run reports. Hey, here's how you approve time off requests. Hey, here's how you do that. What's nice about that? I finally have to do that. You don't have to go into the LMS. It's only 3 letters, but it's kind of a 4-letter word. Nobody wants to go and dig through that like we were talking about with the access thing. But everybody's pretty good at sorting and managing their email. It's going to be mobile. You're going to be able to go back and you're going to find that. So this is their automation section. I have a paid account for this, but the free account just started doing these as well. So they have a whole bunch of different options here. Again, I don't want to go like too into it, but for education, it's like, hey, here's a series of lessons, assignments, and projects, a new student orientation, the new hire orientation. What if it was, hey, I'm going to give you 99 emails in 99 days, and you're going to learn a new little thing every day. So every time you use MailChimp, does that sound terrible?
That would be overkill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what you want people to know about. What's that?
Better than doing it all in one afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Forget it all, right?
Yeah.
Well, and they can go back and access it whenever. They're not having to ask somebody 20 times.
So every email has its own URL. So what I would recommend is then if you go with the idea of 99 emails in 99 days. True, it's a little bit annoying, but people are, one, they're used to emails. They can go through it at their own pace. It's going to be mobile. They're going to be able to access it. And if you just, in the footer of the email, you put a home page, and that home page has links to all the other 99 emails, then if you're a binge watcher like me, and you're a go-getter and it's your 5th day, but you're already on email 77, like there's no problem with that. You can have it in there so that you would basically like think of an index page that has links to all 99 articles so that people can go and find what they need, but they get slowly brought in. You get a little bit more, a little bit more. So, so that's, I'll just give you a quick name test. I promise. And then, so the downside of this, again, you have to manage a list. So anybody who leaves the company, joins the company, somebody then would have to manually update that, or you can sync it to some kind of system. But do you want to pay $50,000 a year for an LMS, or do you want to have somebody spend 2 hours every week going through and just filtering those emails and getting it right? I don't know the answer to that, but so this is just kind of how the automations work. You can build one completely from scratch, but they basically go and it says, okay, as soon as somebody joins that list, they get a trigger. Hey, welcome to Karl Corp. You're going to learn all about how to work here. So then you can go through, you can design your emails, you can schedule when they are. You have some different triggers here, which I thought this was, so you can say when somebody joins, when another email is opened. So you could say, hey, you're not going to make it to the end of this class until you actually click the links in all the emails. You know what I mean? It's like 20 lessons in there. I'm not going to just send you 20 emails in 20 days. That was our new hire orientation example. What if you actually have to go through and there's something you have to read and then there's a form and you have to put your answer in it, like we were just saying. So you can have it set so that, okay, if they click the link in the first email, then they see the second email. And if they don't, then wait a week and then say, hey, you really do have to take this. So that's how this is set up. So previous email not clicked, previous email not opened. So you can design your course in a different way so that you can say, hey, you know, maybe this is self-study and maybe it isn't important. Maybe you don't have to do it every day. But what if you do? You know, it's just a new paradigm, a different way for building a course. It's a free tool. It's a little bit of management that you'd have to do with it. But I think this is just kind of an exciting option. Email deservedly has a bad reputation and people say, oh gosh, I don't want more emails, but you can always access them. You can always find them. You can always look stuff up quickly. And if that's the kind of content you've put together, I think.
Okay, so
that, yeah.
So you can prevent people, not necessarily prevent them from just deleting the emails. If they just keep seeing them coming from me, they're just going to delete the email. But
so what I would do if I have 20 things I want them to get through, put a completion form on the last one. They can't get that email until they get, a coworker could forward you the email and then you would be able to click and open it. Did I listen to your question or did I give you a different answer? If you ignore the emails
Yeah, all right, so you are gonna send 10 emails,
Mhm.
one every day for 10 days. And I start seeing them and I didn't click the first one, or whatever, and I just start deleting them.
Mhm.
What's
Well-
gonna prevent me from doing that?
He's saying that you can set it up so that if you don't actually watch the first email and do something, that you're not gonna get the second email.
Right, yeah,
It's
no,
gonna-
I said that.
Okay.
Or, I mean, I understand that.
I think that's back to the adult responsibility aspect of training. If you're, someone's.
It looked like there was an option there that if it hadn't been opened to click, that, I don't know, was there timers or anything?
Right. So you could say, hey, we sent you this 2 days. I know you've been busy, but it's important. Make
And
sure
also-
you go through and open
Could
it.
be a link to a quiz, and the quiz is asking questions that you're only gonna know the answer to if you watch the video or watch the content. And,
Mhm.
maybe. you
So I
can
guess
do
it just all depends on how you set that up.
It really depends on what your goals are, but if you basically say, hey, instead of just a single email, I could stretch this content out, the information dump. Hey, I'm going to just talk at you for 6 hours and then you're a new employee. Congratulations. What if you stretch that out so that it's a longer process? You still need some way of tracking all this. So you can put that into your forms, into your email blasts that go out.
Mhm.
So whatever mechanism, you can ignore your LMS as well. What the LMS does that this can't do is say, hey, Carl's boss, Carl hasn't taken his required training.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen a trigger where this can handle that sort of thing. But thinking back to the spreadsheet we just had there, I mean, if you look at an activity report and it says Eric hasn't finished his training, then
There's even,
send it to
I'm
him.
thinking about it, I think StormCloud has something where you can deploy courses by email. Like they don't,
Yes.
you can just send an email. So you can take the actual trackable course if you wanted a half and half, because I think it's a
Mhm.
cool setup.
Mhm.
They click that link so it knows that you, the owner of that email, have clicked the link depending on who it sends it to. And so you've got the LMS tracking for all your compliance stuff, but you can still nudge people through email, which you're
Yes.
right. I think that's a much more accessible, because I hate when people send me new systems. It's like one more thing to remember to log into.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the email's great. You get,
You can set up on StormCloud. You can actually configure it if you choose not to set up the users. You can actually have them self-register under your account. Because StormCloud, one thing with StormCloud, I mean, it's great for testing, but you can actually also purchase a license to maintain your content up there, and you have a certain number of registrations, and it's pretty price-wise pretty reasonable, and it's by month. So like whatever you pay, say I have 300 registrations. That's one student to one course, 300 a month. And so you use up the 300, then the next month you have another 300. You don't lose those courses, those records, they stay there. But what he was saying is it's exactly that. You can just, get the URL and send it out to an email, and you don't even have to create a user. You can just have,
I think you just type in their own.
they can create their own account. So now you've reduced the amount of work. It's a little bit more like the university type
Mhm.
style with Moodle. It's like make them sign up. You may want to send something out saying, hey, please use your business email address, not your
Right.
Gmail or whatever. If you've got
Mhm.
some of this always rubs up with the larger corporations with the lawyers.
Mhm.
There's a friction point of
That's
they just
that's
want
the point,
control.
is This is good for smaller companies anyway.
Right.
So that's.
So, but
fits in
yeah,
so well.
and I love that you can just send a
Yeah.
link out from StormCloud. You don't need the
Mhm.
whole stack.
All right. I'm checking in on my webinar friends here. Any final thoughts? Any questions? Anything? Does anybody think this is a good idea? Terrible idea? Anything?
Well, Heidi wants to move away from email.
Yeah,
I
I
want
saw
to
that.
know how Heidi, what
Yeah, how are you
they're
doing
doing
that,
with
Heidi?
email.
What a great teaser for. Yeah.
Everyone gets their own here.
Yeah. She says next month, because she's our presenter next month, so she can tell you.
Yes,
Yeah.
Schoolmates.
I just leave on my out of office. That works for me. I've stopped getting emails completely.
I'm perpetually on vacation.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming. I hope this was helpful. Nice to meet you all. And I'm going to stop this, online friends.
Bye.
See you later. Everybody say
Bye,
bye.
Heidi.
Bye. Oops, there's the
Yeah,
table.
with our feet.
There's people waving to you. Yeah, I'll get better at this. All right. Bye.
You need like a wide angle